Hey everybody, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra. You are going to see a whole bunch of shotgun content here on the channel because we're doing a bunch of stuff. And I brought along an expert for that. You know that I like to introduce you to experts. And this is my friend Matt Haught from Symtac Consulting. And I want to introduce you to why, when it comes to the gospel of the gauge, I listen to this guy. Today's video is brought to us by MagTech Ammunition. Whether I'm shooting rifle or pistol, if I'm on the range training, MagTech Ammunition is along for the ride. So, Matt, we have known each other for several years, and I have taken probably more shotgun instruction from you than from anybody else. Well, okay, I guess that's not true anymore because I took
you took Tom's. Yeah.
But I started with you, and that gave me a bunch. So, obviously, if people wanted to look you up, Symtac Consulting, that started by your dad, Rob. And so tell me about why the 12 gauge, the shotgun, is your thing.
It's kind of genetic, I think. You know, I grew up in a very rural environment. We did a lot of shotgun hunting, did a lot of rifle deer hunting, but everything's so close that the shotgun really doesn't have a lot of limitations in that environment. Dad,
in West Virginia.
In West by God, Virginia.
West by God, Virginia.
Best Virginia. My dad got into shooting shotguns mostly through hunting and then through shooting side matches at IPSC, at IPSC matches back in the day in the 80s. And what he noticed was he was winning a lot of those matches. And he and a friend of his, Scott Warren, started analyzing why. And they figured out Dad was holding the gun differently. He was bracing it differently. He refined that over the years. That became the push-pull technique for recoil mitigation. And I grew up learning that technique, and it just kind of flowed.
So, and he's playing this really cool, and I appreciate that. But, you know, you grew up at the feet of some of the masters around Dad. Some of the guys that graced your home when you were a kid?
Well, Dad and Ken Hackathorn are real good friends, so we would spend every Sunday out at the range with Dad and Uncle Ken and the guys just doing our thing.
A lot of IPSC competition.
Yeah.
It's the old days.
A lot of the old days. I was there for the start of IDPA. I was there when Ken and John Markwell invented the failure to do right rule at one of the last USPSA competitions at our club before IDPA formed. We had a lot of fun with a lot of good dudes. That area of southeastern Ohio where we shot at Fort Harmar Rifle Club was kind of the East Coast mecca for practical shooting in the 80s and 90s.
And it was really your dad that kind of refined and brought the push-pull technique into kind of the mainstream, right? Through competition. Through
competition and then through teaching. After the Waco incident, the FBI wanted to train up a bunch of SWAT teams throughout the country so that they had somebody to replace HRT. If HRT was unavailable, if they were on scene for too long and needed to go get some downtime and training, they needed to have somebody capable of standing in for them. So they started developing regional SWAT teams around the country. And Dad was one of the trainers that was selected to teach those teams. He taught shotgun, Ken taught submachine gun, a couple other guys that came in to teach pistol and carbine. But that's really where the push-pull system and Dad's teaching technique got refined and honed, and he's just continued doing that to this day. And as I got older, I started helping out with him, and now I'm trying to bring the company into the 21st century with a media presence and doing stuff in the modern way in terms of the admin back end.
You damn kids these days and your social medias.
Right. Yeah, I don't even know how to Instagram. I try, but I fail. Facebook's about as much as my, almost 40-year-old self can do. But my goal is to keep the knowledge going. We affectionately refer to it as spreading the gospel of the gauge.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we joke about that.
And
I know, you guys know, if you know me, you know that I'm an evangelical Christian. You know I pastored for 15 years. It's a joke. Lighten up.
It's something that I feel is valuable, and that with the advent of the global war on terror and everyone wanting to do the cool guy carbine stuff, which has its place. I am not anti-carbine at all. I think a lot of that shotgun knowledge is being lost, is aging out. And I think it's still very viable in the modern day. I don't want to see it go away. So I'm one of the people trying to keep it alive and maybe advance it, further it, find some new stuff to do, new techniques, new advances in, like, for example, this flight control ammunition.
Man.
This stuff is, if I'd had this in the 90s, I would have been loving it. I love it now.
Yeah, amazing stuff. And so he's infected me, and I really think today that the house howitzer, right, the repeating claymore, has an absolute place. And so we're gonna pattern some shotgun different shots here. We're gonna do some ballistics testing, and you're gonna see Matt on the channel talking about technique with the shotgun, talking about how a shotgun's place is. And I think for a home defense long gun, man, this has got a lot of value.
You know, I'm a big fan of context. I think context rules all.
Always.
And for a lot of people, for home defense, where you're not going to have a long distance shot, where you may not have time to put multiple shots on a target, where you need to put something down very, very quickly, there is nothing in our arsenal more powerful per press of the trigger than this.
It's true.
And if you only have time for one shot, might as well make it a good one.
You know, people who are shot with 12 gauge that's properly set up with the proper shotgun load, which we're going to get into the proper load here before too long, they stopped doing what they were doing. I mean,
as a general rule, nothing is a truly guaranteed one-shot stop, but this is about as close as Joe average can get.
Yep. So, guys, look forward to seeing more of Matt on the channel. I'm grateful for your friendship. I'm glad you live in my town, man, so we can do stuff like this. And thanks again, man, for all the knowledge you give us.
Hey, man, glad to be here. I just want people to see what these old scatterguns can do and maybe not forget about them.